Welcome to the 31st lesson of SmartKnitter Knit Instructions Level 2. In this lesson, we will go through the options for Intarsia. Let's look at a panel with two color Intarsia in irregular stripes like pattern. We can see that parts of the panel are not linked with tucks upon translation. Go back to the translation settings. Under Jacquard settings, check Allow lock yarn every other revolution during Intarsia. This will prevent excessive tucking and feeder kicking. Let's look at another Intarsia file. This is an Intarsia panel using zones to separate the same color body. Upon translation of the original file, it shows a lot of tucks with long floats, indicating the carriage cannot pick up the feeders. Go back to SmartGraph, then switch to zone mode. We need to change each section into distinct colors so that the software can recognize the zones as Intarsia. Translate again. Arrange the new feeder into available slots and set the yarn end direction. Now the feeder issue is resolved. Let's look at another panel here. This is a panel with two color Intarsia. We can see feeder 4 knits first in the Intarsia section. Sometimes we might want to swap the order of the feeder movements for better efficiency. We can achieve that by first deleting the first row on the right side Intarsia. Then clear the last row of the left side Intarsia. Draw the extra tuck for the right side to link with the left side. Correct the zone color of the newly added tuck stitch. Duplicate a row to correct the feeder direction. Change the last row of the sweep below the right side feeder to symbols with transfer. Translate again. Now feeder 3 starts knitting first, followed by feeder 4. Let's look at file 4 with two single-stitch Intarsia lines. We can see the carriage cannot pick up the feeder, and there are a lot of tucks and long floats. Switch to zone mode. Expand the single-stitch zone to 3 stitches. In feeder setup, change the 3-stitch zones to float backing. Translate again. The single stitch is now knitted correctly. Let's look at another file. This is a swatch with 6 color Intarsia. You can see some parts are not linked with tucks. To resolve that, go back to feeder setup and uncheck the partial knit feeder property of the feeders. Translate again. Now all the colors are linked with tucks at every revolution. Let's look at the last sample. This is a swatch with 2-star Intarsia. We can see there are quite a lot of tucks when the feeder is brought back and forth between the two motifs. Let's check the number of rows between the two motifs. There are 10 rows. In translation settings, under Jacquard Options, you can set a larger vertical distance in the option. When Intarsia feeder stays in center larger than set courses, tuck and take away. Set it to 12 courses here, which is larger than the courses count between the two motifs. Translate again. Now we can see the Intarsia feeder for the motif color stays in the knitting area, which minimizes the yarn ends on the back of the swatch. This marks the end of this tutorial. Thank you for watching.